Close your eyes for a moment and picture the richest person you can imagine. What do you see? A sleek yacht, a private jet, a towering skyscraper with their name on it. Now erase that image. Get the tech billionaires and oil tycoons of our time. They are, quite frankly, poor compared to the man we're talking about today. Instead, picture this: a vast, shimmering line of humanity and animals snaking across the Sahara Desert. This caravan is so long, it takes days for it to pass a single point. Hear the creak of leather saddles and the murmur of 60,000 voices. See the desert sun flashing off the polished points of spears and, more incredibly, off the very fabric of the riders' clothes woven with threads of pure gold. Smell the dust, the sweat of 10,000 camels, and the rare perfumes wafting from chests of treasures. This isn't a dream. This isn't a legend from a storybook. And by almost any metric you can use, he was the single richest individual in all of human history. His wealth wasn't just measured in numbers. It was so vast, it broke economies just by passing through. But to understand the man, we must first understand the stage upon which he walked. West Africa in the 14th century. Our story doesn't actually begin with Musa himself, but with his predecessor and the incredible foundation of Mali's wealth. When you think of medieval West Africa, you might picture endless desert. The reality was far more complex and far, far richer. Mali was a meticulously organized empire that controlled the three great engines of medieval West African prosperity. First, and most famously, was gold. The legendary mines of Wangara Bambouk and Bure, located within Mali's borders, produced over half the world's known gold supply at the time. Think about that for a second. More than half of all the gold in Europe, Asia, and Africa came from this one empire. And Mali didn't just dig it up. They masterfully controlled its trade. They created a semi-mythical aura around the source of the gold, keeping its exact location a state secret from foreign traders for centuries. This control gave them immense power. Second was salt. In the scorching heat of Africa, salt wasn't just a seasoning. It was a critical strategic resource, essential for preserving food and for life itself. Mined from vast deposits in the northern Sahara, like the famous mines of Tagaza, salt was, at times, literally worth its weight in gold. Slabs of salt were used as currency, and controlling the salt mines was as important as controlling the gold mines. And third, Mali's genius was its position. The empire sat at the crossroads of the great trans-Saharan trade routes. Imagine a superhighway of camels stretching for thousands of miles across the world's largest desert. Mali taxed and protected these caravans, which moved gold out, salt south, and brought luxury goods like fine textiles, horses, weapons, and, crucially, books and scholars into the heart of the empire. This wasn't just trade, it was a vibrant exchange of wealth, culture, and ideas. And Mali was the gatekeeper. So, when Mansa Musa ascended to the throne in 1312, he didn't just inherit a kingdom, He inherited an economic juggernaut. He could have just sat back and enjoyed the riches. But Musa was more than a caretaker. He was an administrative genius and a visionary empire builder. He expanded the empire's territory to roughly twice the size of modern-day France, incorporating legendary cities like Timbuktu, Gao, and Jen into his domain. He wasn't a conqueror who just took over. He was a statesman who established a system of provincial governors to manage the vast territory. He created a standing army to ensure security on the trade routes and protect the borders. He instituted a sophisticated bureaucracy that brought stability, order, and justice across his diverse lands. The peace and prosperity under his rule, known as the Pax Malia, became a model for governance that was respected and admired throughout the region. His personal wealth became so profound it was almost abstract. It defied calculation. An Arab scholar of the time, Al-Amari, who spoke with people who had met Musa, wrote that it was impossible to estimate his revenue and possessions, for they are endless. It wasn't just about gold coins, it was about entire mountains of gold, control over global commodities, and a completely self-sufficient and powerful empire. But Mansa Musa was also a devout Muslim, and his deep faith would soon catalyze an event that would take this almost mythical internal West African wealth and project it onto the global stage with an impact that is still felt today. In 1324, he decided to fulfill one of the 5 pillars of Islam, the Hajj, the pilgrimage to the holy city of Mecca. This was no ordinary pilgrimage. This was the journey that would put Molly and Mansa Musa on the world map forever. He didn't travel light. Remember that caravan we imagined at the beginning? That was his Hajj entourage. 60,000 people, including a personal retinue of 12,000, each wearing brocade and Persian silk. He brought with him an entire city on the move. And the gold. Oh, the gold. Reports from the time say he brought between 80 and 100 camels, each loaded with 300 pounds of pure gold dust. Do the math on that. That's up to 30,000 pounds of gold, which in today's money would be worth well over $1 billion just for travel expenses. And he wasn't hoarding it. He was giving it away. As his golden procession made its way across the Sahara, through Egypt and towards Mecca, Musa gave gold to the poor he met along the way. He showered gifts upon city officials and rulers who hosted him. He bought souvenirs and goods in the markets of every city he passed. In Cairo, a major economic hub of the medieval world, his generosity was so extreme that he single-handedly flooded the market with gold. He gave away so much gold that its value plummeted, causing an economic crisis, massive inflation that took the region more than a decade to recover from. Imagine one person having enough money to completely devalue gold itself for an entire region for 12 years. That's the kind of wealth we're talking about. It was an economic power move, intentional or not, that sent shockwaves across the Mediterranean and into Europe. News of this golden king from a mysterious land of untold riches spread like wildfire. For the first time, European mapmakers began to draw the kingdom of Mali on their charts. The most famous of these is the 1375 Catalan atlas, which depicts a crowned black king sitting on a golden throne in the heart of West Africa, holding a massive gold nugget. The caption reads, "This black lord is called Musa Moli, lord of the blacks of Guinea. So abundant is the gold which is found in his country, that he is the richest and most noble king in all the land." But Mansa Musa's journey was about more than just flexing his wealth. It was a journey of faith and intellectual curiosity. In Mecca and on his way back, he spent his gold not just on charity but on a new kind of treasure, knowledge. He recruited the best and brightest minds he could find: architects, scholars, scientists, and poets, primarily from the Islamic world of Andalusia and Egypt. He convinced a brilliant architect and poet named Abu Ishaq al-Sahili to return with him to Mali. He paid him, as the story goes, 200 kilograms of gold. When they returned, Musa launched one of the most ambitious building programs Africa has ever seen, al-Sahili, using advanced techniques of fired brick and mud brick construction, designed magnificent mosques, libraries, palaces, and universities. Most famously, the Jingaber Mosque in Timbuktu, which still stands today. Musa transformed Timbuktu from a regional trading post into a world-class center of learning and culture. The Sanka University became one of the most important intellectual hubs on the planet, attracting students and professors from all over the world to study law, medicine, astronomy, and philosophy. The libraries of Timbuktu held hundreds of thousands of manuscripts, making it a beacon of knowledge that rivaled any city in Europe. Mansa Musa's legacy, therefore, is not just about his unimaginable wealth, it's about how he used it. He didn't just accumulate gold, he invested it. He invested it in his people, in his faith, and in the intellectual and cultural future of his empire. He built an empire that was not only rich in gold, but rich in knowledge, stability, and art. His pilgrimage literally put West Africa on the global map, shattered European perceptions of Africa, and sparked a new era of trade and intellectual exchange. The story of Mansa Musa is a powerful reminder that history is full of incredible figures and empires that are often left out of our standard textbooks. He was a king, a pilgrim, a builder, and a scholar, man whose wealth was only surpassed by his vision, and his golden legacy continues to shine, a testament to the incredible history of Africa and its place at the center of the medieval world. In 1324, Mansa Musa, a devout Muslim, embarked on the Hajj, the sacred pilgrimage to Mecca. For any Muslim, this is a profound act of faith. For a king, it was also a masterful piece of public relations, a chance to announce the power and piety of Mali to the entire Islamic world. But no one, not in Cairo, not in Mecca, not anywhere, was prepared for the sheer scale of his journey. Forget a simple royal escort. Imagine a moving city stretching for miles across the Sahara Desert. At its heart was Musa himself, his senior wife, and his entire court. But they were just the beginning. The caravan included 60,000 people. That's soldiers for protection, officials to manage logistics, doctors, teachers, interpreters, and an astonishing 12,000 personal servants just for the royal family. It was a self-sustaining metropolis on the move, complete with its own mobile marketplace, baggage handlers, cooks, and even entertainers to keep morale high on the grueling journey. And then there was the gold. This wasn't just a king traveling with his treasury. This was a statement. 100 camels were loaded with nothing but gold. Each camel carried 300 pounds of pure, glittering gold in bars, in nuggets, and in fine dust. That's 30,000 pounds of gold. In today's money, that's well over $600 million just in raw material. But in the 14th century, when gold was far scarcer, its purchasing power was astronomically higher. This wasn't just wealth. It was a river of gold flowing out of West Africa. After 8 long months crossing the Sahara, this incredible procession arrived at the gates of Cairo. In the 14th century, Cairo was one of the premier cities of the Islamic world, a bustling hub of trade, culture, and power, ruled by the Mamluk Sultan Al-Malik on the Sahara. The arrival of the Malian king was a sensation. The sheer size and opulence of his caravan left the city's inhabitants speechless. Musa, seeking an audience with the Sultan, knew that protocol required him to offer gifts. But Mansa Musa's idea of a humble gift was enough to cause an economic earthquake. He didn't just give a few chests of treasure to the Sultan. He distributed gold with a generosity that bordered on reckless. He gave it to the Sultan's court, to government officials, to the poor in the streets, and to merchants in the bustling bazaars. He spent and gifted with such staggering open-handedness that he single-handedly flooded the Cairo market with gold. The sudden, massive influx of supply caused the value of gold in Egypt to plummet. This wasn't just a minor dip. It triggered runaway inflation. The price of goods skyrocketed as the currency was devalued. According to contemporary historians, it took over 12 years for the region's economy to fully recover from Mansa Musa's visit. One chronicler wrote, in a tone of awe and near panic, he flooded Cairo with his benefactions. He left no court emir nor holder of a royal office without the gift of a load of gold. Having made his mark on Cairo, Musa and his caravan continued their journey. He completed the Hajj in Mecca, fulfilling his religious duties with a profound humility that stood in stark contrast to his dazzling wealth. But the story takes an ironic twist on his return journey a year later. After his extravagant spending and gifting, the richest man in the world found himself low on funds. He had to borrow gold from the very same Cairo merchants whose market he had just crashed, and at a high interest rate. Yet, in another testament to his character, he repaid every single loan in full, further cementing his reputation for integrity and honor. The impact of his pilgrimage was immediate and global. Mansa Musa's journey made Mali a legend. For the first time, European and Middle Eastern cartographers began to draw West Africa with newfound detail and accuracy. The most famous map of the era, the 1375 Catalan Atlas, features a striking depiction of Mansa Musa. he is shown enthroned, holding a golden scepter in one hand and a massive gold nugget in the other. The inscription reads, "So abundant is the gold that is found in his country, that he is the richest and most noble king in all the land." Now, many stories about Mansa Musa end right here with the mind-boggling wealth and the broken gold market. But to stop there is to miss his true genius. Mansa Musa returned to Mali not just as a fulfilled pilgrim, but as a visionary nation builder. He understood a fundamental truth. True legacy isn't what you hold in a treasury. It's what you build in stone and inscribe in books. He used his unimaginable wealth to launch the greatest cultural and intellectual building project in West African history. He brought back with him the brightest minds he had met on his travels, architects, scholars, and poets from across the Islamic world. Among them was the brilliant Andalusian poet and architect Abu Ishaq al-Sahili, whom Musa commissioned to design some of his most ambitious projects. His crown jewel was the transformation of Timbuktu. Under his patronage, the city became home to the legendary Sankara University, as well as the magnificent Djingueber Mosque, a masterpiece of Sahelian architecture that still stands today. Sankara wasn't just a local school. It became one of the preeminent centers of learning in the entire world. Its curriculum was vast, spanning law, medicine, astronomy, mathematics, and philosophy. Its libraries were said to hold hundreds of thousands of manuscripts, rivaling the great libraries of Alexandria and Baghdad. Timbuktu became known as the city of 333 saints and a repository of African and Islamic knowledge. Musa's vision extended beyond Timbuktu. He established madrasas, or schools, and libraries throughout his empire, turning Mali into a magnet for scholars from across Africa and the Middle East. He transformed his empire's reputation from being merely a source of gold to being a renowned center of wisdom and learning. So, just how rich was Mansa Musa? Modern economists have tried to put a number on it, factoring in his empire's control of more than half the world's gold supply at the time. His inflation-adjusted wealth is estimated to be over $400 billion, dwarfing the fortunes of today's wealthiest individuals. But if we measure him by the standard he would have valued most, his legacy is even greater. He was not a hoarder of wealth, but a distributor of it. Yes, sometimes recklessly, as seen in Cairo, but always with intention. He was a brilliant statesman who forged a vast, stable, and prosperous empire. He was a devout man who fulfilled his faith's highest calling with sincerity. And, most lastingly, he was a patron who used unimaginable material wealth to build immaterial, everlasting treasures, centers of faith, halls of learning, and a legacy of cultural greatness that still echoes in the sands of Timbuktu. Mansa Musa's story reminds us that history's most powerful figures are not just those who accumulate wealth, but those who understand how to transform it into something that endures long after the last gold coin is spent. He was truly the Golden King. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into history's most incredible figures. See you next